Welcome to Second Listen Saturday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share some fun moments from a past episode for your weekend listening pleasure. Look for new episodes every Monday through Friday.
Today we're talking about 5 easy ways to build a relationship with your teenager. That's the topic. So I came across this article online. Where did I see it? Today's Parent, I believe. And it was talking about just, it's hard to be a teenager. It's hard to be a parent of a teenager. And, our kids are going through some really stressful changes and big changes during those years. No kidding. It kind of says, basically the responsibility is on us as parents to, I guess, keep the lines of communication open with our teens and to guide them towards good decision making and just to basically overall have like a working relationship, I like to call it.
At what point in their life does it become their responsibility to have a working relationship with us?
Right.
I haven't gotten to that point yet.
No.
I'm waiting for that. How old do I have to be?
Yeah, exactly. Is there a magic number? So and that's what I often tell my daughter whenever she has, issues with some of her friends. You don't have to be her best friend. You don't have to have like a super close relationship. Just have a working relationship.
There you go.
So anyway, so it kind of outlines some ways. Try, for example, trying the zero criticism activity. Well, props to the mom that can do that.
I know. And the thing is with that, it was like, let them tell you the plot of a book they're reading or watch a show with them. Like, but do they want to do those things?
No.
That's the thing. Although, once in a while my son will be like, hey, listen to this song or something. But most of the time he's like, back off. This is my thing. I'm not interested in discussing it with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when you're, especially in those years, like you have to impose yourself on them, whether they want it or not, in order to communicate with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're just going to go up to them and say, hey, what's the plot of your book that you're reading? And then they're going to open up and then like you're going to have this amazing relationship because you've had this talk.
Yeah.
But there are some other ones in there that are good. For example, I like the gathering around at the end of the day.
Which Terry does.
We get together for prayers at the end of the day, but my daughter is usually asleep by then. She goes to bed very early, so we all gather in her room and say prayers.
Whatever works.
And maybe she wakes up a tiny bit. Maybe she completely sleeps through it.
Yeah, that was
But
one of
I don't
the
know if that
examples
counts.
they used was a prayer or just like kind of a good night ritual, I guess.
We do have a good night ritual and a prayer ritual, physically, if not,
And I think that was the idea. It's like whether, even if you just touch base, I mean, we don't get together and pray, but I make sure to say goodnight to them. I go into their room. I, give them a kiss on the forehead, like whatever, whether they want it or not.
I do that unless I fall asleep on the couch, which happens, not infrequently.
But I make sure to at least, or even send them a goodnight text. From one room to the other.
This is the world we live in today. A good night text. Yes, I probably would do that.
But I think something like a family text chain, I think you guys have that, Nicole, and we sort of do.
Yeah.
We don't use it all that much, but that's another way to check in, even if it is electronic.
Huge.
I would like that, except my husband is firmly anti-text.
I know he won't. He won't go near that.
He will not. Does not get it.
Well, I years ago when my daughter was younger, much, much younger, she just would not connect with my husband. I mean, he traveled a lot. It wasn't like he was an absent father, but he traveled a lot, and she was just used to me being around all the time, and he was kind of coming and going. And she just didn't, like, they just weren't connecting for a while. I think it was around when she was in grade 1. And somebody suggested to me, why don't you get, I mean, my husband is very technologically, like, he engages on a technical level, right? Like, that's his mode of communication at work and all that, other stuff. And my daughter loved being on the computer and whatnot. So they started emailing when he was away. And then it just transferred into Skyping and FaceTiming, and now they text. And like, it's just kind of, finding something on their level too, right? Like, it's accessing what they're interested in and working with that. So that's a part of the reason why our family text message thing works, is because we're all using that mode of communication. So, but that really did a lot to develop their relationship outside of me and my, you know what I mean? Like, for them to have their own little relationship.
Right.
I think that's why for us, we use technology as a major form of communication, even when we're one room away.
It's handy.
Yeah. But I mean, even if your husband isn't involved either, it's still, I don't know.
We used to, for a little while, I made it a point of knocking off work early in the evening, and after dinner, we would play games together. And I thought, this is going to be the great thing. This is going to get us in our case, we have young adults and not teenagers, but still, this is going to be our family time every day. We also eat dinner together, but, and it just, it became unsustainable for me time-wise, but also turns out some of us are kind of competitive, and some of us don't like the way other people play their cards, and we end up squabbling every night more often than not. A wonderful time of togetherness that makes everybody mad at each other for the next 24 hours, and don't we get to do it again? Yay! So maybe texting would be safer.
Yeah, right. Like,
everybody sit doing something that you enjoy doing, and we'll just pretend to be together through the technology.
Right. Yeah. Like, I know Catherine uses those Bitmojis a lot. Those can be fun to use.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have anything to say.
We use those too in we have a whole extended family chat that has...
That's nice.
For a while it had both my parents on it, but my dad got super annoyed at the Bitmoji keyboard on, like, it would come up on his phone when he didn't want it there and he couldn't get rid of it, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. But my mom likes her Bitmojis, and
That's
some
fun.
aunts and uncles and cousins and things, and it's nice for the kids to be able to have that little chat with them too.
Yeah.
The other thing in this piece was, it talked about triggers. Like, we think of triggers as something that makes us upset, and then it says create triggers, kind of flip that around and try to create a positive response from. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot, agree with this, because it said, like, say your teen makes smoothies and forgets to clean out the blender, which happens in our house. Instead of feeling frustration, feel grateful and proud that your teen prepares such healthy snacks. And I was like, oh no, I can't do that. But then it said, take a moment to compliment your teen and then ask them to clean it up. Okay, now I'm a little bit more able to go with your line of thinking, but it took me a few minutes.
A lot of this stuff reminds me of things that I recommend for people with young children with special needs. One thing being like kind of the floor time idea of getting down on the floor with your child and letting them direct the play and just play along with whatever they're doing is sort of the same as this criticism-free activity where you're just going to listen to whatever they enjoy. And, certainly looking at things through different lenses, trying to find something positive to say, even amidst negative behavior. I mean, I think that's a good thing. I never thought of applying that to teenagers, but I guess it kind of works. There's something in the book, The Nurtured Heart Approach, that talks about Kodak moments, like purposely setting out to find your kid doing good things so that you can notice them. That might be a good way to build a relationship with your teenager, because I think a lot of it, as with spirited young people, with teenagers, there's always so much to complain about.
Yeah.
And so you get in a habit of constantly correcting and feeling like if I don't correct them, they're going to think that's okay, and then that's going to be bad in the greater world, which is true. But also, you can almost always find something they're doing that's good. Even if it's, I'm happy to see that you're reading, or I'm happy, thank you for keeping the volume low on your music when you're listening to it in your room, if that ever happens.
Well, that's that positive reinforcement.
Yeah, you're so good at using the computer. You have so much skill. Now, get off of it.
I like how you walk nicely past that light in the hallway. Why don't you reach out and turn it off?
You're really focused. I like the way you can focus on things to the exclusion of everything else. But focus is good. Use that focus. Yeah, that's probably a good idea for building a relationship. It's so very, very difficult for parents.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And it's also hard because you can say something that you think is positive and they will interpret it in the worst possible way. So you have to coordinate with them also. Can you look for things that I as a parent am doing well and call those out every now and then? Can we make this a reciprocal thing? Because if I say, well, that's a nice outfit. What about the one I had yesterday? You didn't like that outfit? Was that not good? So it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a minefield. And I know I was exactly the same way when I was a teenager and young adult. So it's coming around.
It is.
Yes, it always does, doesn't it?
It was a good article. I just think there was
It's good for some reflection, to think, how are we doing and what are we doing?
I think
why is it not working?
And go, okay, yeah, I think I'm doing good with that. Like, I got 2 out of 5 things that I'm doing.
This article says, we'll see differences in a day.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen.
That almost makes you just want to turn it off without reading it. So
that's a major credibility problem.
Because there's some good nuggets in there.
Yes, my advice would be, with all things parenting related, you're never going to see success immediately. You may not see the success until you look back years from now. But, keep plugging anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Hope for the best. And I guess as that is the end of so many of our conversations, it's not that easy, but you got to keep trying.